All right. So I'll just do a quick intro. Welcome to the Pulse of Story podcast. My name is Derek Christopher. Now, I got a question for you, because how many people do you know go through life and maybe they're struggling and their lives aren't exactly what they want them to be? And if they had the opportunity to time travel, if they got hypnotized and they time traveled to a different dimension where everything seems so much better, seems like it would be great. I don't know. But my guest today is the author of a great new time travel thriller called Timepiece, Lisa Lane Kulick. Welcome to the Pulse of Story.
Thank you, Derek.
Good to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good to see you. So, music, visual arts, culinary creativity, you've done so many things. Why a book now? Why a novel?
Well, this has been a long time coming for this book. I actually wrote it back in 1994, so we're 30 years ago when I began to write it.
Yeah.
But I never considered myself a novelist. So through time, I decided, let me write a screenplay. I've, dabbled in screenplays before. And so I decided to write a screenplay, which I did back in 99.
Okay.
And it actually did pretty well. It never became a movie.
Right.
But back then I was a flight attendant for United Airlines, so I had the luxury of working the New York to Los Angeles route.
Yeah.
And so I'd have a lot of pretty successful filmmakers and directors on my plane. So after I wrote it, and I was never one to put it out there, but I had friends that convinced me to do it. And on one of my trips, I had Gary Marshall, if you remember Gary.
I auditioned for Gary once.
Did you really?
I did. He was a lovely, lovely guy.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
He was one of my very favorite passengers. And he was going back and forth to do Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
So we had talked about it, and I said, I wrote this screenplay. It was a book, but I don't consider myself a novelist. I didn't know what I was doing back then. So I turned it into a screenplay. So he said, all right, let me take a look at it. And he was very sweet. He called me up and he said, he called it spooky. I wouldn't classify it as spooky, but he said, I'm more of a comedian. I'm more of somebody that likes romantic comedies. But I'm going to give it to a good friend of mine that's actually producing Runaway Bride, and his name was Tom Rosenberg. Yeah. And he had Lakeshore Entertainment at the time. Yeah. And he took it and he looked at it. He loved it. And then he said, there's a movie coming out, and it's called Frequency with Dennis Quaid. And he said, we're going to see how that goes, because yours isn't that movie, but the subject matter's close. And for whatever reason, that was 2000, it didn't do as well as they had hoped. I think it's become more of a cult classic now, and people love it. But at the time, they were a little worried about it. So he had said, we're willing to option it. We'll give you some decent money.
Wow.
But it'll go on our shelf. We can't guarantee it'll ever become a movie. And I remember talking to Gary about it, and he said, the money's great, but it won't be yours anymore. Yeah. It's just, you can't ever do that. You can't write a book. You can't do anything with it. It's ours or theirs now. And I passed on it and really got disappointed. You just get...
Sure.
And it went on the shelf for all these years until 2 years ago, and Bruce is like, what about that screenplay? Why don't you do something with it? But
wow.
So much of the subject matter in it was dated. As you know, a lot of it was 1994, which was up to date back in 99 when I was working on it. So I had to take it out and revamp it and look at it and actually updated it as a screenplay, and then thought, Hollywood's tough.
Yeah.
Why don't I just do it as a novel, so there you go.
See, but it's funny because when I read it, I thought she's going to turn this into a screenplay. So you actually did the opposite. I totally had, because it's such a visual piece of writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when you were trying to be a screenwriter, how did you get into that? Were you taking the classes, the Sitfield or the Robert McKee, or were you doing any of that?
No, it's for some reason I just found it interesting and easy. I found a book on screenplay writing. I can't even remember what that book was called way back then, just to figure out the format. I had a couple of friends that wrote that taught me, the right way to do, how long it should be, how to format it correctly. Yeah. And just did it myself. So
when you were writing now I'm interested about screenplay. When you were writing the screenplay, did you outline it first, or did you just start writing it? What was sort of your creative process into writing that screenplay?
Well, I had an outline. But like anything else in life, as you go, then it starts to form.
Yeah.
So I probably still wrote like a book back then, and then just went back and chopped it up and, more in a screenplay format, which made it easy when I decided to write this book.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was already done.
Yeah.
I just never knew how do you make it into a novel? How do you... anyway, I found a great editor. I'll just put it out there, named Stacy Kachurik.
Yeah.
She has a company called Polished Print. And we looked at it together, and she said, okay, I'm going to keep most everything you have here.
Yeah.
But I'll just help you format it in a novel type.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would call that, a novel type book.
Yeah.
So we worked together on it, and it came to life.
Now, were you as creatively satisfied with how the novel came out versus how your original screenplay came out?
It's the same.
Okay.
I really think it's the same.
Yeah.
It's as if my concepts are all there. It's just maybe add a little bit more detail and paint a brighter picture of what I had before.
Yeah. Now, Bruce is off camera here. Bruce, what made you think of this screenplay out of the blue?
She's always talked about being creative, and she had all these projects that I knew.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there was a connection with something we saw, but we had the time, and I wanted her to accomplish it. And then I practically lost her.
Yeah.
He
lost me for a year.
Yeah.
She's on the couch. I can't talk to her. Oh no.
Yeah.
Doing it, but it was amazing. Just to see her go through the process actually.
That's great.
And you can tell them about the audiobook.
Oh yes, it's on audiobook as well, and he did. He
Yeah.
recorded me, and it was a long process.
I was going to say, how long did it take to record that?
Well,
it's 250 something pages.
How long would you say? Because we took a little break in the middle of it.
I say
when we
each
did it,
chapter
but
was 2 hours.
Yeah,
Wow, okay.
probably.
Do the math,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we did it in chunks, not all at once.
Yeah. So what made you decide to... Now, did you ever think about trying to get an agent or a manager, or was it self-publishing sort of the way you want to go from the start?
It just self-publishing seemed like the easier way for me.
Yeah. I think especially today.
Yeah. It's just I've had friends that have done it
Yeah.
and told me how to do it, and it just seemed like an easier thing than trying to find an agent.
Yeah.
Which sounds complicated.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I want to get into the story a little bit from the book. So, Lainey, was Lainey trying to find redemption, reincarnation, discovery? What was she trying to find? What was her goal?
Well, I always wanted to keep the reader interested in figuring that out, what they thought.
Yeah.
I probably would have to say, in my heart of hearts, what her goal was. She living a life that wasn't as exciting, obviously, as this, if you want to call it, past life person that she may have been, or some sort of dream that she had where Lorraine had connected to her to help solve something that wasn't finished in life.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, I think Lainey just got caught up in this existence that Lorraine had going back in time. I think she wanted to believe that she was once Lorraine LaRue.
Right.
I think that's what she wanted to believe.
Now, they always say that characters are the choices they make under pressure. So how are the decisions that she made in the story versus the decisions you made for her as a character?
Oh, that's an interesting interesting question. Can you rephrase that a little bit?
Well, there's a premise. Robert McKee's talked about this a lot, that characters are the choices they make under pressure. So I'm curious, what were your thoughts going into writing the character, and then how the character's decisions affected her outcome in the novel?
Right. Well, you might as well say that I'm all characters.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very visual person. So I would imagine if I'm Lainey and I'm putting myself in this situation, now I have to write this section here. What would I do?
Yeah.
How would I react? And since Lainey is more of my personality, that your question's hard to actually answer.
Yeah.
Because I would put myself in that situation and imagine, well, how would I handle that? So, in other words, I knew what was going to happen, and then I'd put myself into that situation. How would I handle it?
Right.
How do I imagine it happening to me?
Yeah.
And what is my reaction? And then that's how I would write certain sections.
Now, was there anything that you dramatically changed from the original screenplay to the novel, or was it pretty? I know you said it was pretty much the same story.
It was pretty much the same story. We had to, because of obviously a screenplay is a certain length,
Yeah.
that we added certain things, like the whole premise with the daughters. That was all new. I
Right.
had to figure out a way, because when I wrote it, certain things could actually be the same.
Yeah.
It was 99 when I wrote it, so I could keep a certain section that would apply, but I had to figure out a way. How can we go back in time and then go back further in time to tell this story?
Yeah.
So the beginning was new. The whole section where she had the relationship with the detective was added. That
Right.
was not part of the screenplay.
Okay.
I mean, I alluded to the fact that a relationship might develop, but
Yeah.
it never did in the actual screenplay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the ending was tacked on to bring it back up to the present day.
See, now I was curious when I read it, was the book a culmination of all the stories that you've sort of gathered over the years? But now you're saying that you originally wrote it 30 years ago.
Yes.
So where does it stand now? Would you write a follow-up? Would you write a sequel to this? Or was this just a one-off that you thought, why write a novel at this stage? Why? What was it that drove you to want to get this
I
out?
love the story.
Okay.
I mean, the story is me. It's hard to just take something that you put so much work in, so much visualizing and feeling into it, and the characters that I developed and loved, and just put them on a shelf, what they were for so many years.
Yeah.
So once I pulled it back down and started elaborating and creating new characters, I've had so much feedback by the people that have read it. Now, one of the things was the detailing, which
Right.
was obviously left over from my screenplay.
Yeah,
parts.
a lot of people who reviewed it talked about the immense detail that you went into on the Times.
And I will be honest, and my editor Stacy will agree that at first she said, I don't know. I only work with novelists, and this isn't something I'm used to doing or seeing. And it's not really a novel. Are you sure you want to do it? Because we can do it a completely different way. I'll show you how to do it. And I said, I really love that feel of description.
Okay.
And I even had a few people tell me that that's not really what a novel's about, is the description. But I had to be true to me.
Absolutely.
I had to. That's what I get excited about. I love the 1940s, and to be able to paint the picture. And I've had people come and say, how did you do that? I've never read a novel where I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, we want our readers to have their own visual moments in a book that they create in their own minds. But I think that people like to be a little helped along there, where they could feel like they were there.
Well, and a lot of people don't know how to write visually. And I think that's, like I said, when I was reading it, I was thinking this is a screenplay.
Ah.
And so it's funny that, so do you see it, another work coming out of it? Or
Yeah, I have some ideas.
Okay.
I with the feedback I've gotten, I've had people say, I would love to know more about Lorraine.
Yeah.
I mean, what was her life like? And I've also heard people say, I want to hear more about Matt and Lainey. What how did they get together?
Yeah.
Where did their life go? What was his detective? They just got very involved and interested in the characters, which I found amazing. And I have some ideas. I am working on something else first, though. But I have some ideas.
I would imagine all those flights going back and forth, you met so many characters. I mean, every time you're on a flight, I would imagine like almost every person on that flight is their own story.
Of course.
And it just builds into your head. You were working on other screenplays, you said at the time.
I still have some at home that are on the shelf, too.
Anything really interesting that you could share? That like, what's your genre? What's your topic? Where do you go with these stories?
Just whatever intrigues me, whatever I would like as a person to experience, or use things from my life.
Yeah. Well, because they always say you should write what you know.
Yes.
So that's why I kind of figured that there was a lot of you in this character.
And a lot of friends that I hadn't heard from in so many years contacted me. I read your book. Oh, my gosh. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that Lainey experienced are, similar to things that I actually had happen to me at certain points in my life. So some would remember that.
So as an author, when do you know? I think first of all, writing a book is really hard. Writing at all is very hard. When do you know you're done? Like, at what point did you finish that you said, okay, this is ready to go?
And what's interesting is I had finished and thought it was ready to go.
Yeah.
And then my editor, Stacy, and we've become friends now, she challenged me. And at the time I thought, I've got it where I want it. And she'd say, when I was reading it, I found this kind of interesting. I really think you should take some time and expand on this section, expand on that section.
But can you give me an example?
Well, the relationship between Matt and Lainey.
Right.
She wanted me to expand on it. So I started expanding. She said, expand even more.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character. I'm falling in love with him, and I want everybody else to fall in love with him too, and keep going. Keep going. And even certain parts of the studio, certain parts where Lorraine had her screen test, or you should say Lainey as Lorraine had her screen test. And then it just went right into the music studio. And she said, wait, I want them to walk through the lot.
Yeah.
Expand that. Let's show the characters her getting from point A to point B, which I would have never thought of, because I'm thinking in screenplay. I'm thinking we're going to cut and then we're going to go here. And she'd say, and that was probably her biggest advice, I want you to keep people moving throughout the story. So that we're not wondering, okay, how'd she get from here to there? Let's experience that.
Were friends surprised that you wrote a novel?
I think so.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people know you as a singer, as a performer. And I'm kind of curious, when you're singing, do you sort of look at it as a story? Are you a storyteller when you're singing? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so when you're, I'm not adapting, but when you're covering, let's say, a Sinatra song, what's going through your head as far as the story goes? I mean, there's a middle, a beginning, and end. How are you telling that story to people?
Well, and that's what's interesting. Between Bruce and I'm a lyric person all the way around.
Yeah.
And he's more the melody. He's more what instruments are playing. And I don't hear those.
Yeah.
I just hear the melody and the feeling in the song. So there might be an amazing song, and I'll say, oh, that song again. I love this song. I'll say, did you hear the lyrics?
Yeah.
There's certain things in the lyrics that I'm not a fan of. But when I'm interpreting a song, it is about what's happening in this song.
Yeah.
What's the story, even the story behind the story. I mean, we can hear a love song and enjoy singing it and know, okay, this is a softer moment in the song, and this might be a little bit more, coming out strong.
Yeah.
But what's the story? And if the story doesn't intrigue me, I'm not really as interested in singing the song.
See, and I kind of
I have to feel it.
And I got the pacing of the book was almost very musical. Like, when you were doing the chapters, did you know that you needed to go up on this point and go down? Did you know how to ebb and flow it, or?
I never thought about it.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, to be honest, when you say it, I think that's probably just part of who I am.
Yeah.
That is, I've always kind of approached life musically, I think.
Yeah. Do you write music?
I do not.
Okay. But you perform?
Yes.
Yeah. But with Bruce, do you write?
We've never tried.
That's so funny.
I know. He's a good writer.
Yeah.
I'll ask her do you like this lyric better than another?
Yeah.
And she'll suggest something.
She'll say yes?
Yeah, but we haven't actually collaborated.
No, we haven't.
I see that look.
No, I guess I've always felt like I have so many other irons in the fire that I've never thought about songwriting.
Yeah. Are any of the things that you do, whether it's writing or the culinary stuff or the performance, is there anything that you like more than the other, or are they sort of all the same to you?
They are all their own thing. They're all. I guess I would put them all equally on a shelf if you had them sitting there. And do I feel like doing artwork today?
Yeah.
And then I get all passionate, excited about a certain artwork project. And the same for the culinary or the writing. And I think that's the most difficult challenge I have in my life, is that I have so many things that I want to do.
Yeah.
That sometimes I get stuck with the guilt of I should be working on that and I'm working on this instead. But, but I almost have to be in the moment of what's kind of pulling at me to do.
Right. Are you a perfectionist? Like, are you able to complete a project and know it's done and move on to the next, or?
In a way, I am.
Okay.
In a way, I like to get, and that was the other thing I have learned through my writing process, is that I do constantly want to get a paragraph perfect before moving on.
Yeah.
And I've learned, stop doing that. Let's just outline it all the way through and then come back and elaborate a little more and then refine and then perfect and all of that. But it's really hard for me because I want to make that paragraph or that chapter perfect first before moving on.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is a time waster because then you get to farther in and you go, that doesn't quite fit what I had complete, and then I have to go back and redo. But my process is a little interesting, and Bruce always laughs that I can't work on a laptop. I am a sit with a notebook girl and pen and write it out longhand. It's the only way I can see what I'm doing. I know that sounds strange for somebody hearing this, is that it's the only way I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Is if I'm on a laptop, I'm just blocked from the visual thing I'm looking at. And when I get my pen in my hand, it's like I see it. It's almost like channeling. It just comes out. It's a mess. I don't know if anybody could read it but me, but that's how I work.
That would hold me back because my brain, if I can type it really quick, I can get it out. If I'm writing it by hand, forget it. I'm going to forget half the stuff that I wanted to write down.
It's writing by hand.
But I was going to ask you then, what's your thought on AI and people who use AI to write? And I was going to say, did you use AI at all? But if you're writing longhand, there's no way you're using AI.
Yeah, I didn't use AI. Actually, when I started seriously writing this 2 years ago, AI wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
And so, no, I did not use AI. I find now it's interesting, and I do like AI for certain things.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want anybody writing it. I want things in my voice. But sometimes it's helpful to say, check out this radio. I want it in my story.
Yeah.
What is this radio that and they could, that's a 1939. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So they're helpful in certain ways.
So do you eventually type it yourself, or do you have somebody?
I eventually do it.
Yeah.
But it is quite a process. It probably takes a lot longer, but it's how I work.
Yeah.
So I'll write it. I'll come back, rewrite it. Sometimes write it again and then type it up. And then even when I type it up, then I'll see, oh, wait, that's really not the right choice of word there. Let's see, can I think of something better?
So when you went through the first galley copy, how much of it did you edit yourself? How much did you go, that doesn't work, or you wanted to move things around? Especially if you're not working on a laptop.
Right.
How do you edit then?
It's a little crazy.
Yeah.
I have like ledger pads and I have notebooks. And so it'll be like a notebook and then it goes to a ledger pad and then it's tear off that page and then write it back and then write it nicely in the notebook and type it.
I don't know why I find that so fascinating.
Now ask her what happens when she accidentally throws out a couple of pages.
I've done that before.
No.
I have done that. And I've learned that if it's done, it has to have a big X through the page.
Yeah.
And then crumple it up and throw it away.
That is funny. So all the ideas that you're working on, they're on paper.
Yes.
That's
pages
great.
And pages
that is crazy.
And pages.
She buys a lot of pens.
I do. I go through a pen a day practically writing.
See, where I'd be curious though, because you have all these ideas brewing, is if you trained AI, it would keep track of all this stuff for you.
Well, now listen to this. So I learned the hard way, Derek.
Yeah.
My new project that I'm working on that I'm not saying a word about yet because it's still.
What is it? Can you tell us just the medium, the form?
It's a book.
It's a book, okay.
Yeah, it's a book. And so it's another thing that I had written years ago.
Yeah.
But more where Timepiece was a little bit more structured because it was a screenplay, so I could go back and elaborate and figure out how I want to go from there.
Yeah.
This particular project is probably 5 notebooks and tons of little tiny pieces of paper with notes and ideas and things. So I thought, well, maybe AI can help me.
Yeah.
And they swore, oh, yes, I can do that. Just take photos of these papers. I don't care if it's a scribble on a piece of paper. Do it. I spent, and Bruce can tell you, this is about 3 months ago. I spent probably 10 days feeding this paper.
Yeah.
And I get to the point, well, now you have it all. Just help me make an outline. I don't want you to write this for me. Just help me make an outline. And all of a sudden, I see that the 50 pages that I had just fed the AI were there. And I said, what happened to the 320 that I gave you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not capable of doing that.
Oh.
And I was so upset. Bruce, I just spent 10 days giving her all these pages.
Yeah.
And she can't locate the earlier pages, and she can't do that.
Oh.
Now, I was testing her, can you read my handwriting? Because
Right.
it's all crazy, scribbly handwriting.
Yeah.
And I'd say, prove it, transcribe this for me. And that, I call her she
Yeah.
could do. So that what has helped me in this venture is that she can transcribe all my notes.
Right.
But she can't, and that's something people need to understand. She can't write a book for you.
No.
There's just no way if you've already done all the, hard work.
But what I found is it's great for compartmentalizing thoughts and keeping track
Yes.
of what you're working on. You can tell when AI writes something.
Oh, absolutely.
It's because it's usually it's shit. It's really bad. Do you think you're going to use AI for this next project? Are you going to use it to help sort of formulate your outline or?
So far, I haven't. I've only asked a few questions of research with it, but I want to do it myself. I don't want to be an AI person.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'll interpret something a certain way. Say, what do you think a reader would think of this?
Okay.
And then the AI will come back with well, that's really nice, and they love to continue on, which drives me crazy. It's like, I'm just asking you a simple yes or no question, or maybe just a little paragraph, and then, well, I think they would like it because this, and then you could do this, and it's like, wait, no,
Now, would you ever use it creatively if for this new book, if you said, well, I have this idea, what do you think? Can you give me 3 alternative ideas? Would you ever use it like that, just to sort of brainstorm with?
No, I don't think
Wow,
so,
okay.
because I like and I have given an idea.
Yeah.
And it's been challenged in a way, and then I'll explain why I like it, and then, I never thought about it. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
That kind of response. But no, I want it to be me and authentic. Absolutely.
Now, looking at Timepiece, I'm just curious. I always wonder how writers react to people that are critical to their work. You can get 100 amazing reviews, and then you'll get one asshole that says something that really gets under your skin. Does that bother you?
Yeah, it does bother me right away, and that was the hardest part. I had just put it up there.
Yeah.
And somebody gave me 1 star. They didn't.
Without a review.
They didn't even say why.
Yeah.
And it just dropped it down. I'm doing really well, and then they dropped it. It dropped it down, and I was like, that one person that didn't even have the courage to say why they didn't like it. But so far I've been pretty lucky with the response.
Yeah.
I had a couple of people. I did a book club. My neighbor is involved in 3 book clubs, as a matter of fact, and so she had me in April come over to her place. There's probably about 25 ladies there, and it was terrifying because, believe it or not, I'm kind of a shy person.
But you would seem so perfect to go to these book clubs and whatnot,
and I really
do readings.
enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. You'd
I
be
really
perfect for
did
it.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I had one lady come in the end, and she said, I did not understand that ending at all.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to be honest, I hated it.
Oh.
And I said, okay. And she's like, I don't even know why you would have put it in there. And what's interesting is that I had a proofreader, not my editor, but I had a proofreader read it and told me the same thing. It sounds, they use the word very meta. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, my ending was as if we just kind of summed it up. It's just a little self-indulgent thing that was for me.
Yeah.
And if I were Lainey, that's how I would want this story to end.
Yeah.
And so I kept it. And after I said it, but I said it very nicely.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, I've never thought about that. And I said, yeah. She goes, I'm not really used to ever reading a book like that where the author wanted a certain ending in a way that was for them, maybe not for the reader. Because I do think a lot of novels, and I've honestly never been a novel reader.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember how many novels I've ever read. I'm a person that reads biographies. I love biographies.
Well, and your life and career is real life stories with real life people. So that's why I was actually surprised that you wrote a piece of fiction.
Yes, but that's what it had to be to,
to
get my story out. But I just am a biography reader, and I just want to know that everything I'm reading is close to true, if not completely true. And I just like to see how people tick.
Yeah.
And I guess in my novel, it was like, okay, well, here's my story in a novel form of what, if I were these characters, it would be in my life.
Yeah.
So the ending was self-indulgent, and it wasn't for anybody but for me, and a lot of people connected to it and thought it was fun.
But I'm sure that the woman that came up to you and said that she didn't like it, at least she came up to you
She did.
face to face.
Yeah, she's a
and you
little
could
mean
explain
about it.
Did she?
But she got it in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I understand that. And then she was the one that said, this should be an episodic. I can see it as an episodic. I can see this as a play. You should call UNLV.
Everybody has an opinion. Yeah, everybody's got. I mean, do you see it being an episodic? Could it be a miniseries? Could it be a movie?
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. I like the idea of a miniseries or an episodic type thing that you would see on Netflix or Apple TV more than a movie, because I just feel that sometimes movies get stripped a little bit.
Right.
And get in control of people's hands that they want to make it so mainstream. And
Yeah.
I've honestly had somebody come at me with a treatment or a synopsis or a beat sheet, however you want to say.
Yeah.
And it put me over the edge for about a week. Bruce can tell you. It was so far removed from my story.
Okay, I was going to say, why? What was so
It
off
was
from
just
it?
so far removed.
What was
I
it-
couldn't even begin to tell you.
But-
And out
okay,
of respect for those
you
people
gotta-
that did it.
You got to give me an idea. What was so off? Because this is sort of my world with the outlining and the beat sheets and whatnot. What was so different from what you wrote to what they presented?
First of all, I thought all the feeling and emotion was gone from my story. I thought that my story was even more inventive and intriguing, and the mystery part was more, ooh, that's interesting, and how that was connected to that. And it was very, I thought, disjointed. And I could see how if it was done that way, maybe the 18-year-old and the 75, 80-year-old would all be happy going to this movie because they could all connect to something.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, I even, the part that really threw me, besides the fact that it was just, Derek, it was completely upside down.
Yeah.
It was like the bad people were the good people and the good people were the bad people. But in the very end, with the final scene, so much of that Biltmore Hotel scene, where you can imagine going from the hotel room to down the hall and all the way to the very end of that scene happening, it just, they wanted it to just happen in the room.
Wow.
And I said, have you ever been to the Biltmore? I mean, that is like cinematic beauty that I wrote. And you just want it to just happen in the hotel room.
Wow. See, but I think that's the difference between people who really have stories. They know their stories. And I love the fact that you knew right away. I mean, now, if somebody came to you with $1 million and said, this is what we'd like to do, what would you do?
Gosh. I don't know if I'd have much choice on that one.
Yeah.
No, but out of respect for those people that did take the time, which I really appreciated, to look at it, thinking maybe this is what would be best for this story. And they really were passionate about it. I really felt honored.
Their heart was in the right place.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And I'm not even completely out of the question to even work further. But I spent the time for the last probably through 2.5 months making my own screenplay up to date, because it's ready, it's up to date. It could be cut down because I know that it's a little long, but I wanted to be able to say this is what it has to be, and I'm willing to work with it, and we can cut down a few sections, but I'm not willing to change it. I'm not willing to lose the time travel part. I mean, the whole idea is her teaching herself how to hypnotize herself in a way to go back in time. She can't just walk through a door and be in 1940. It just doesn't work that way in my mind, which is kind of what they were going for.
Yeah.
So I explained what I wasn't happy about, but I certainly would be open to working with someone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, have you ever been hypnotized?
I actually am licensed hypnotherapist.
Get out. It's actually
I'm not practicing, but I used to.
It's an amazing thing, though. I mean, I've known some hypnotherapists in L.A. that are really phenomenal, and the work they do is phenomenal.
Yes.
I think a lot of times it's better than regular therapy, than going to see a psychologist.
I agree. And I did practice it back in the early 2000s. And I realized that I'm just more of a creative person with music and things like that. But I think my biggest hurdle with that was people didn't want to invest in themselves. And it was really hard. It was really hard to want to spend, and because I would take it to heart, honestly, I would spend so much of myself trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
And then it's just, they didn't want to, I didn't want to be the person. I didn't want to be that type of hypnotherapist that you need to keep coming to me.
Right.
You know, I just wanted to give them the skills to be able to help themselves, because we can all do that stuff. We could, just like Lainey, she can relax herself and she can heal from the, inside out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to teach people how to heal themselves from the inside out. And I would see progress, and then they think I'm there, and I'd say, you're not there yet, but let me show you a few more tools, just a few more times, and I really can't, and I wasn't charging an arm and a leg by any means.
But I got to ask you, so I've been to a hypnotherapist before, and I found it actually incredible.
Yes.
And I thought, I was one of these people, I go, they can't put me under, it'll never happen. And then 2 seconds later, I was out. And when I came out, it was like I was a different person.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. What is it that you do when that person is out? Are you just feeding thoughts into the subconscious, or?
Well, I guess I should refine it a little bit.
Yeah.
I was taught in a different way. I was taught a technique called meditative hypnosis.
Okay.
Or hypnotherapy, where I get somebody in a very quiet state of mind, relax the entire body, and then have them focus, and then take them into a certain meditative state where then I give them suggestions, ask them questions.
Right. And they answer.
And I find it really interesting, just like Lainey in the story.
Yeah.
They answer like children. They answer very, very soft and very childlike.
Why is that?
I think because they are in a certain state of consciousness
You
that
brought them back,
they're not aware of.
Yeah.
That's very innocent and honest. And that's why so many times they might be talking about something that's not so emotional and just start crying.
Yeah.
Because it hits something deep down. They can't find the words necessarily right away to explain it, but they can feel it and they can see it. And so I used to work with, different types of hurts and injuries from childhood, where somebody was abusive and, oh, my dad wasn't that bad. But then you put them into a state of consciousness like that, and I would have several techniques. I had one where you would turn the book back and stop where you feel like you should. So just keep turning your pages back, and where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 4 years old. I'm coloring. Well, tell me what you can see. And all of a sudden they can see their room. They can see the people. And then, oh no, he's coming in. And so.
But they don't remember it when they wake up.
They do to a certain degree.
Okay.
They will remember it, but it will be a different type of a memory. It won't hurt as much.
Now, have you ever used that on Bruce to get your way on something? Or?
No. We've never really dabbled in any of that.
Yeah.
And I would love to again, and kind of that's my next project I'm working on. But I'm not ready yet.
But I think all these things that you've done, all these experiences, are why you're such a deep storyteller, and I think that's why it resonates with people. And now you got me so curious what your next project is, and I want to just keep asking you questions I know you're not going to answer, but I would love to do this again whenever you're ready to talk about it.
Bruce knows I'm the type of person that nobody knew this was happening until it was done, until it happened, until everything was submitted to, Kindle Direct Publishing, everything was done. And then I said, okay, you can tell people that I wrote it.
Now, why didn't you want to? Because I'm the same philosophy. I never talk about anything until it's actually done. Why do you do it?
I think it's because it's probably one of my most human pet peeves is when somebody tells you that they're doing something. Yeah. Especially something creative, like I'm writing a book.
Yeah.
And then you want to engage next time you see them. How's your book going? Oh, it's and then I feel bad. I just ask because I know that sometimes it takes time. Some things never happen, and I know that's just human nature. Yeah. And I always feel guilty in my own self when I'm working on something and I give myself the hardest time.
Yeah.
You know, I should be working on that, or it should be done by now.
Yeah.
And so if you don't tell anybody, then nobody can ask you, and then you're only yelling at your own self.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So I feel so bad when people tell me, and so many people do. They
Right.
love to brag, or, you know, I'm doing this, or this is happening, and then you see them 10 years down the line, and it's still sitting there.
They're still not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything creatively that you haven't done that would be from left field that you still want to do?
Ooh. Besides have something I made, an episodic miniseries
Yeah.
that I was working on. Yeah. Yeah.
So is the next project you're working on, is that in mind too, that you would like to see that turned into some sort of episodic?
No.
Visual? Okay.
Actually, the next thing is kind of more in the vein of what we were just discussing about hypnotherapy.
Oh, nice. Very, very nice. Well, Lisa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please
Thank you, Derek.
go out and get Timepiece. It's a great book. It's a great thriller. And you can go to your social media and check Lisa
Okay.
out. And it's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Lisa. Take care. For the Pulse of Story, I'm Derek Christopher. This has been Lisa Lane Kulick, and we will see you next time. Take care.